Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Civil War Generals 2, the 1997 Sierra Classic. In today's episode, we're returning to part 4 of our look at the Battle of Harpers Ferry, the fictional Battle of Harpers Ferry, not to be confused with the battle that was fought during the Antietam campaign. This was actually a battle that is being fought during the Shenandoah Valley campaign. So in this game, it is assuming that our victories earlier in the campaign have allowed Jackson to move aggressively on the city of Harpers Ferry in order to try and cause Washington to panic at the proximity of rebel forces to the capital. And so far, the battle is not going great. This is the climactic episode. This is episode number 4. It'll be a little bit longer, but it is the climactic battle, the final episode of the Battle of Harpers Ferry, and we will see how things play out. The first video went well. We captured over 2,000 cavalry. The enemy responded rather effectively in the last couple of episodes by going on the offensive as their infantry and artillery came up, and they've really ravaged our own forces, and it's really going to come down to who is able to hold the line, whose morale is able to last the longest, and we'll see how things play out in this episode. Hope you guys enjoy, and I catch you guys at the end. These guys should be able to rally. Yes, they did. Alright, so we've got these surrounded. They have no ammunition, and another enemy regiment is forced to surrender. Huzzah for that. So we're up to 5,000 enemy prisoners of war, 929 deserted. That gives us 6,000 casualties there, plus another 1,200 casualties killed or wounded. So over 7,000 federal losses thus far. Although, because of how badly we're being shot up, I don't know if the game would consider this a victory for the Confederacy or a draw. Might be more of a Pyrrhic victory if you think about it. We'll let our horses up here rest further. These guns can fire down on the 84th Pennsylvania, which loves to just sit here and take our artillery fire. Two Federal infantry regiments back here. Can't really get to them, though. Nice! All right, so we routed the 84th Pennsylvania. Good result there. I'll number them. Yeah, so I mean, I guess with the 84th Pennsylvania over here, there's 2 regiments here. I think there's one somewhere in the woods over in this vicinity. You can see the morale of our troops is starting to come back up. The overall quality of our troops is starting to come back up. All that time doing nothing has certainly helped. Problem is whether I have enough strength to overwhelm the enemy artillery that they still have. That I can't even see, that I can't hit with my artillery, anything like that. Let's just move forward one more turn. We're almost to nightfall. Just so much enemy artillery. Those 2 infantry regiments in the south. Alright, that infantry regiment has retreated to the supply trains. I think we can rally him with just 49 more morale points. We did. Alright. 300 morale points for these guys? Well, it brought them back. I mean, if it's only 5, under 100 morale points, I will do it every day. Alright, so these federal troops reformed, just so we can rout them again. Well, we didn't rout them, but we did drop them back. Rout them now? Yeah! Run away, Yankees, run away! Alright. Again, I don't... I'd like to try and get in behind these enemy guns. I just don't know how I'd do it. Like, my troops are starting to recover. Problem, I think, is they're gonna counter battery us to death before we ever get a chance. Alright, these guys are limbered up, so we'll go ahead and take advantage of that. Like, our troops' morale is miraculously recovered. Everybody but those guys down there.
At ease, man.
What about the troops up here?
At ease, man.
Pretty much.
At ease, man.
Alright, we'll see what happens here. I'd love to get a couple more enemy units surrounded and destroyed, such as their artillery pieces. But they're gonna do that to me. We're gonna lose all this supply and morale as well. Goddamn guns. The goddamn guns! Alright, so... Holy hell. We're trying to move troops in and around these guns, the 1st Michigan and the 4th US. There's so many guns in front. I just don't know how we're going to manage it. And the terrain is so poor here for such an action.
At ease, man. At ease, man.
But we're going to try.
No, sir.
Can we move? This cavalry can probably... Like, the key thing here is nightfall comes in a turn or two. And once that comes, we can probably get our troops rested up enough to do it. We can probably also... Can these guys ride up here? They can. We can probably also, once nightfall comes, maybe take a little bit of a hit on some of these units that have recovered some of their morale and go after... I'm trying to think of the word. What are the words I'm trying to use? And get into position so that we can just surround them. Right, these guys don't have any... They're not going to be able to do anything this turn, I don't think. Guns here. Alright, so we'll see. Nightfall should be coming up. It's 7:30 in the evening. Shit, they drove us back with their artillery fire. This is what they can do. They just concentrate on 1 or 2 of your units. Fuck's sake. Alright, so it is dusk at this point. Alright, so we now have the 84th Pennsylvania is surrounded. Let's go ahead and attack them. They've got no ammo, and they're forced to surrender. So another Federal regiment surrendered. That we are now ahead in victory points, which is good. We're now over 165 in terms of weapon cost captured, up to 5,700 enemy prisoners. That's a good result. All right, so far. But again, these guns, these goddamn guns are just So what I'm trying to hope for here is that I can surround these guns. Nightfall comes down. They can't do anything about it. And then we've got 2 more enemy batteries isolated. I'd love to be able to race my other units forward and get in around maybe all of the batteries, because they don't have much infantry left. They've got 2 regiments to the south somewhere, and I just don't think they've got much else. These guys are fresh. Yeah, so we're going to rest. Hopefully, do we go first? Or do they? No, they get 1 more turn to bombard. So it'll be nightfall after this bombardment turn. Alright, so it is now nightfall. And you got to be careful with what you do at night. Oh, there's an enemy infantry regiment here. Alright, we're going to surround them. We're going to get 1 more enemy infantry regiment here. Okay. The problem is I wish I could turn on like, oh, you can see what you actually have here. In any event, we've got the 25th Ohio surrounded. We're going to try and move.
No, sir.
All right, so now we have 2 artillery batteries here surrounded. Move this cavalry around here. Move these guys up. Alright, so we've got 2 guys surrounded here. No, we'll let them rest. I think the real challenge is like none of my gunners can see where the enemy is. And you take a huge morale penalty, by the way, if you move at night. So there's still going to be a huge enemy battery here over to the right flank. I guess I'll do a night force march for some of these units to bring them back into the action. Can we rally these guys? No. What about these guys? No. Alright, we'll bring Jackson forward. Bring these guys forward here.
No, sir. At ease, man.
Okay.
At ease, man.
All right, so we've got an infantry regiment, 2 artillery battalions. I'm hoping to get a 3rd one surrounded before the night's over. The enemy's going to be strengthened. It's worth remembering that they're probably going to be a little bit harder to overwhelm come the morning. All right, those guys will just form up. Okay. Whoops, don't do that. All right, so we now have 3 enemy artillery batteries and an infantry regiment all surrounded. I think we're going to let the rest of the night pass unmolested. We're just going to let these guys rest up because you move from half-hour turns to like 3-hour turns. And I don't want to get my troops exhausted or their morale. I don't want to hurt their chances here. It is morning now. So you can see here there's 2 enemy artillery batteries here. Surrounded. And then we've got the 25th Ohio also surrounded. 25th Ohio can be hit with artillery. So we'll do that. Do a cavalry charge. Ah, the defensive volley. We'll charge him again with cavalry. And we forced him to surrender. All right. So the enemy infantry regiment was instantly forced to surrender. The artillery, meanwhile. All right, so the 1st battalion there is forced to surrender. And the 2nd battalion is forced to surrender. Bloody repulse on the 1st attack. And the 3rd battalion was forced to surrender. So 3 instantly. 3 enemy infantry or artillery battalions forced to surrender. Infantry charge here against that unit. All right. So just like that, 1 more infantry regiment on the enemy is forced to surrender. 3 artillery battalions. Weapons cost capture is nearing 200,000. We have lost 1,500 casualties. The Union have only lost, in terms of killed or wounded, the Union have only lost 1,300. However, they've lost almost 1,000 deserted and another 6,300 captured. Their total losses thus are around 72, 82... about 8,500 men to our 1,500. Victory points are pretty strongly favoring us with 25 turns left. And now we've just kind of got to get ready to eat a whole bunch of enemy artillery. All right, so those troops over there. Let's move the 31st Virginia down. Okay. This cavalry really took a bit of a beating. I mean, the real question becomes, like, how do we best get back at the enemy over here? I also don't know what they can really shoot at either from where they're at. Like, I don't know if all of our troops over here are visible or not. But your Early and Jackson are pretty well recovered, I think. And so, like, if we can bring the mass of our infantry to bear, we can get these enemy guns surrounded. It's just a question of getting there without being broken up by the enemy guns.
At ease, man.
So it all comes down to, like, how effectively I think they can concentrate their fire against us. Those guys already moved. I'm hoping they focus on the 6th Louisiana here under Brigadier General Taylor. That's right in their backyard. He did do a good job of hurting the 1st Ohio, and the 4th U.S. was already hurt a little bit. The West Virginia batteries also hurt a little bit, but they've got 2 10 firepower units over here. So the hope has to be that we can close with them quickly. Or quick-ish.
At ease, man.
Okay, that cavalry's in good shape. Maybe we can wipe out the Union forces here still with a full day to go. Another enemy infantry regiment just randomly came back into action. The 67th Ohio, just detected. So we're going to sweep our... Oh, boy. All right, so there's 2 more infantry regiments that we just detected here in the south. The 67th Ohio and the 14th Indiana. Okay. Don't do that. All right. All right, we're moving our infantry forward here against their artillery. Trying to get some of our own counter battery in action here. Okay, bringing our own guns up. Let's rest up these horsemen that just were so badly shot up a little bit just a turn or so ago. Move these guys into place. And I think that's most of what we wanted to move this turn. So let's go ahead and move forward. Oh, I forgot about the units in the rear. Okay. All right, so they're going to concentrate on the lead unit there. Wow, they drove it back. All of their artillery focused on 2 units, which I'm pretty okay with them doing that. Let's move these guys over here. All right, I think we should be able to get these guys surrounded here. At least the infantry over there. Meanwhile, I mean, with the artillery, it would be easier just to maybe break them up with attacks rather than actually, like, try and surround them. You can see there we already drove one of the batteries back. It's going to take some casualties, but we can probably do it. Then we can probably rout them. Just drove that battery back. But, I mean, frankly, I'd rather force them to surrender if we could. Question is how we get around them. That's the real problem. Because the terrain is well suited to the defense, or at least to funneling us into a frontal assault. Okay. We'll probably mass our artillery and drive them back eventually too. They have much more firepower than us, but... bringing those guys up, bringing these
No,
guys
sir.
down. And there you have it. That'll do it for that turn. Gradually reducing the amount of enemy guns that can be fired against us is at least the idea. Alright. So, meanwhile, these regiments here trying to escape the trap have failed. So we now have these two enemy regiments surrounded. Now we can go ahead and just attack them. No bayonets charges necessary, I don't think. We just really ravaged the 67th Ohio. Attack with cavalry here. Well, that horseman did not do so well. Nonetheless, the 14th Indiana shouldn't be going anywhere, neither would the 67th Ohio. We should be able to finish them off next turn. Bayonet charge here badly shook up this enemy artillery battalion. I'd rather not drive them off quite yet, though. I'd like, if possible, to get them to surrender. Alright, meanwhile, we are going to attack Banks and their army commander here with a bayonet charge, drive them back. So we drove them back. I guess we might as well see if we can rout them. Rout them, boys. Rout them. Well, they're withdrawn in good order, at least. Eek. That was a rough artillery duel there. So drove back that battery. I mean, they're so powerful.
At ease, man. At ease, man. At ease, man.
Shit, there's enemy cavalry in our rear. And they're in good shape, too. Well, in a good shape. They're in fair shape. Pull these troops back. Maybe we can surround that battalion. There's just leakers all over. Alright, let's end the turn. No, we're going to counter battery. Alright, so their cavalry actually dismounted, which I think was kind of silly. Like, why would you do that, cavalry? Why would you immobilize yourself? Your chief virtue is mobility. But, whatever. So we may surround them next turn. We're going to go ahead and try and finish off the 67th Ohio, so we just finished them off. Force them to surrender. Force the 14th Indiana to surrender. So 2 more enemy infantry regiments have surrendered, which brings our prisoner total up to 7,500 men, and a bunch more victory points, and a bunch more weapons cost captured. So 2 more infantry regiments are gone. Let's try and charge this. No, you don't want to. We're attacking entrenched guns. They've got a Betis and everything. We've just got to do the work to drive them out. It's going to be costly. That's the problem. We're attacking with beat-up troops also.
No, sir.
I don't want to get those guys routed. So we'll attack here. Alright. We've caught them limbered up, boys. Butcher them. Alright, drove them back. I'd love to declare a victory. I don't know if the margin of victory is actually big enough yet to do that. Probably should have bombarded those troops before we attacked them in entrenchments, huh? In any event, we did finally drive them off. Can we rout them? We can, I think. No, not quite. Okay, so good news for us. The enemy's being driven back.
At ease, man.
All right, let's just end the turn. Okay, they dug their cavalry in. I don't understand you, AI. Sometimes you do the most darndest things. And now you had to surrender. All right, go for it, man. Do it. You do you, man. Throw those guns away. Sir, we really can't move you. You are too beat up. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to get enough troops forward here to... I mean, they can't really shoot back very well. I've got one battery that can, and I'm going to focus on them, and they're not even returning fire on some of these units of mine, so they must not be able to see me from where they're currently at, even though I can see them. Thank you for that. Why does it say they have 99 firepower? Is that relative? Must be relative. There's another battery of artillery over here, but they're too beat up to do anything and be of any threat. Whoops, don't do that.
At ease, man. At ease, man.
These guys are all so shot to pieces from charging that
At ease, man.
artillery. Let's bring this cavalry up here. Maybe we can use the cavalry to work around them. They're not really going to have anywhere to go. One unit that can fire. All right. All right. Move the horsemen in here. All right, let's continue to focus on this lone enemy artillery battery that is still a threat and the only one that we're actually shooting back at us last turn. They may be driven off if I keep shooting. I probably need to be a little bit more careful about that. I don't want them to run. I just don't want them to shoot back next turn. All right, so I think red morale should do that. And then we should be able to get them in this wide pincer move unless they pull out. Oh, no, they did shoot back. Oh, no! It froze! All right, so we'll just jump back into... All right, so the only thing they did was the shooting that we already saw. Okay, so... There's still a couple of enemy batteries around. All right, so we've got 3 enemy batteries of artillery surrounded here, so now we can proceed to attack them and hopefully promptly reduce them to nothingness. And we did. So all 3 forced to surrender almost instantly. Now we can move these guys north. I'm trying to force the last enemy units out of this action. Because again, while we probably, at this point, I'm guessing we could declare a victory, although I'm not 100% sure. The main thing at this point is getting as much weapons value as we can. So that's going to just require us to play this out. Okay, so they'll go here, they'll go here. Get this cavalry in behind this enemy artillery battery. We'll try and get both of these batteries surrounded. And then I think they might still have a general. I think they'll still have Banks's headquarters command, but we'll let Banks slide. We'll let Banksy slide. All right, so let's end that turn. Turn 39 out of 55. Okay, so we forced that battery to surrender. Nobody. You can't move. You're too beat up. All right. And we force them to surrender. They've got one more battery over here, actually, by the looks of it. That's not super beat up yet. Chasing down the Yankee gunners is all we really want to do. Force them to surrender to us.
At ease, man.
That's what the rebels do. All right, so it looks like they unlimbered. Oh, there's another enemy infantry brigade. There's an infantry battalion behind us? How did they get over there? And they're in good shape, too. Fortunately for us, we weren't pursuing with our whole force. So all we got to do is march some of these troops that have just been resting for the last bit up that way. And some of these troops are pretty well rested now, having not done much fighting today. So we'll try and get in behind these guys. Can we maybe immobilize these guys? Can we hit them with any artillery?
No, sir.
Not yet, anyway. None of these guns can bear against them. All right, so we'll work to get around that infantry regiment while we move up here against this enemy artillery. Oh, wait, there's Banksy. Force the enemy general to surrender, I guess. That'll be our next objective. We'll go for the artillery after that. Maybe we'll go for them simultaneously. I wonder if the Yanks would even admit defeat if they still have a brigade of, or a regiment of artillery still in that good a shape. All right. All right, so let's end that turn. See what happens here. That artillery apparently is in good enough shape to attack. Their infantry, meanwhile, is in good enough shape to run. I don't know how we're going to get out ahead of them. Probably going to need to use some... I don't know, I need some cavalry,
No,
probably. Alright, let's finish Banks off. Alright, so we've got Banks surrounded. Now he'll surrender. The enemy commanding general has been forced to surrender. so that artillery should be done next turn. Meanwhile, they're going to keep moving 1 hex, 1 hex, 1 hex. But I think we can probably outmaneuver them here. Slowly. All right. Enemy batteries forced to surrender, and I think now it's just the 1 infantry brigade, which is going to keep pulling west until I don't let it anymore. I don't want him to attack my general. All right, that is exactly what I wanted him to do. Good. And by pulling the general back 1 hex, the AI made the decision, all right, well, we're going to have to fight for it. And so they dug in. We'll bayonet charge them here with a fresh unit, and they're forced to surrender. So there you go. That might be it. That might be the last Yankee unit. Unfortunately, the game doesn't just end and tell me it's over. But 8,700 men surrendered now. Over almost 250,000 weapons cost captured. Let's go ahead and try and claim victory. Really? It still says we can't win? I don't know if they have to be like negative morale or something. Oh, well, that must have been the last unit actually then, because it says the smoke is cleared. Okay. So let's go ahead and save this thing. You've got a major Confederate victory at the Battle of Harpers Ferry. Confederate casualties, 569 killed versus 488 Union killed. So the Union actually lost fewer men killed. 1,230 Confederate wounded, 1,045 Federals wounded. Again, fewer Federals wounded. Total killed or wounded, 1,799 Confederate versus 1,500 and... oh, I can't do math. 1,500 and... 13, 130. 1,533? I'm not real quite sure about that. Another 929 deserted, 8,711 prisoners. All told, the Federals lost some 96, 10,600. About 11,000 men. So that's a pretty good result for us. 317,000 weapons cost captured for us. That'll be very useful in the future battles. Supply captured was about the same. Victory points 10,000 to 3,000. Victory points from hexes 10,000 to 1,300. So very good day there. Not a ton of promotions, although it does look like Thomas Stonewall Jackson for the second straight battle is promoted now from Brigadier General to Major General. And some other people are promoted to Colonel or Lieutenant Colonel. I think there'd be more promotions on a battle like this, but apparently not. We also didn't lose any wounded or killed. So I saved the game after the end of the battle. What that basically means is I'm not going to instantly go in and rearm people because I just want to see what the next battle is. We'll look at the rearming between battles in the next one. So we'll say weapons purchase is complete. And it looks like the Battle of Cross Keys is next. So we're moving back into the historical path? That's weird. So we win at Harper's Ferry, and now we're going to fight the Battle of Cross Keys? So I guess there's still another federal force in the valley. Yeah. So maybe we won't actually get to bypass the peninsula. I'm not 100% sure. In any event, Harper's Ferry is ours. Huzzah. With that being said, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.